するつもりなんだろう、僕。
just do what your cousins in Hyrule do.
さあ、戦いなさい。村雨。はい。マザー。
We open right where we left off from last week, or rather conveniently cut off from because... No, don't come back to me, because the best joke of the episode actually happens right after that. And they say I'm overly cynical. Like seriously, they even did the joke about the crows cacking aho, aho, which is a homonym for stupid, stupid in Japanese. I'd almost think this episode hates Tsubasa, if not for what's coming up. But anyway, he survived the fall because, I don't know, he's Kirby? Okay, thank y'all for validating my joke, I guess. Meanwhile, our original Futari were trying to deal with their airborne enemy. Logic of Advent children, don't fail me now! And it failed because he just needed to back up. And as cute as this Hime reference was, I will admit I got a bit of a bear laugh once Sora got back on the ground. You know what? Never mind. We don't need an Akiba Ranger Precure. This show has us more than covered with the cynical humor. Hell, even Kabuton had become more genre savvy as he quickly tried to find our heroines and actually would have finished them off had he not been distracted by a couple of things. However, Tsubasa's best rider pose couldn't deter the pig with the fully armed UFO. Thus, ironically, L had to come in and save the fat bird, and no, I'm not just saying that to make fun of his weight, as it was actually plot relevant. In fact, it might have helped if he had been just a little fatter. Meanwhile, Ageha managed to act as a good support character by both saving our heroines and even suggesting a way to improve their Advent Children tactic, albeit with a few more drawbacks. Because while adding a projectile attack from Masho made sense and was even clearly established as having mass earlier in the episode, Newton's third law is a thing. It's the scenes that aren't supposed to make me laugh that are giving me the most laughs. And yeah, I get it's meant to be a dramatic scene showing Ageha regretting suggesting such a double-edged maneuver, but with everything else in this episode, you can't convince me that it wasn't supposed to get a laugh out of me. Hell, at the same time, Tsubasa tried to protect L, even directly challenging Kabuton, and...
Wow, you suck.
Though, that's not to say the drama of the scene still didn't get across, as Kabuton did deliver a legit savage dissing to the bird before dropping him out of his ship. It's an effective scene showing how Tsubasa, even by the end of this episode, still has some growing to do. Anyway, he survived his fall by utilizing L's carrier because I guess anyone can use it? Well, whatever. Meanwhile, Kabuton was setting up some obvious and very painful punchlines and opened a portal to Nightmare Moon. And thanks to him making about 1,000 requests to her that I'm surprised she didn't turn him into a pork chop over, especially after he ended up losing L to Tsubasa, who just casually grabbed her. Yep, the unintentional humor is a lot better. And in general, this was, in my opinion, the weakest part of the episode, as it felt a little too overly plot convenient. Like, was Kabuton even really talking to anyone since they didn't say anything? Fortunately, this was followed up by probably the strongest scene in this episode, as after some strong words from the toddler, Tsubasa was convinced to hitch a ride with her, even though he knew it would just slow them down. You all know you could just descend really fast, right? No, I didn't mean like that! Okay, jokes aside, I really do like this scene, as Tsubasa did chose ultimately the most selfless option, not only accepting his fate, but even ultimately proving the bullies of his past right, and yet he could still go out with no regrets. But that still wasn't good enough for this princess, so once again she saved him, leaving herself open to be taken again. Yeah, these two are kind of stuck in an endless loop of saving one another. Fortunately, the chain was broken after Tsubasa rightfully earned his pen, and our original heroines finally reached Behemoth. Honestly, of all the awakening scenes so far, this is arguably either up there or even better than Sora's thanks to some great direction and pathos. And yeah, sorry Masho, yours wasn't bad or anything, but... Anyway, transformation time, and am I crazy, or does this feel awfully similar to Sora's? I mean, some of the camera angles and these moves do feel similar, and not just them using a template across all the transformations, as Masho had some very different moves of her own. Now, I'm not saying this is a bad thing, as one, Sora's is a really good base to borrow from, and two, it could be symbolism towards his hero worship of the Blue Lead, who was the first to truly befriend him. Again, poor Masho has kind of gotten shafted over this little two-parter. And he does get enough different moves to distinguish him from Sora. I especially love this little thumbs up for obvious reasons. And thank God his cut-ins here are animated, so overall I would say he has probably my second favorite transformation, close to the OG with Sora, and again, I just feel bad for Mashiro. As for the Cure design, I do like it as the first main male Precure design. I mean, shorts, no matter how ridiculously short they are, does suit Tsubasa, and the more aerodynamic design they're going for, along with that nice flowing ponytail and pintails, and what is that? Like, okay kid, you're free to wear whatever you want, short shorts and all, but just out of curiosity, why is that there? Is it a tribute to Jim Carrey's Grinch?
It's not a dress, it's a kilt! Sicko!
Or maybe it's a reference to the last show the head writer wrote for. Yeah, we're probably still gonna get demonetized even with those censored. Nah, as long as he gets rid of the emo poop cut, then wear whatever you want, kid. In fact, I would prefer it if he just wore that little top hat all the time. It adds class and would conveniently cover that thing up. But yeah, really good design overall, and probably tying with Mashiro as my second favorite design of the season so far at least. From there, we got a really impressive flying tracking shot that I'm surprised wasn't animated by Nishiki Itoka. I mean, I didn't see their name in the credits. And he even saved Sora and put her down on the roof that probably has a couple of very deep magical girl-shaped craters in it at this point that probably won't even be fixed since our heroines made them. And from there, Tsubasa showed his greatest strength as the only flyer of this team, which yeah, is kind of OP in addition to this attack. Let's go with Getter. With that, the UFO was destroyed by a bigger UFO, and hopefully this will be Kabuto's last attack for a while. Again, I like the character, but it really is high time we got a new villain, plus he pretty much went all out in this fight, so it's a good stopping point for our piggy. Anyway, the episode ended with L getting a new knight, or rather squire is probably the more appropriate term here, and no cameo Cure this week, and instead Tsubasa, which he does deserve. Yeah, not too surprisingly, this was a really strong introduction to the first main male Cure of the franchise. I mean, honestly, gender aside, it was just a strong Cure debut in general, with Tsubasa really showing off some very significant strength of character and will. He showed a strong drive as a hero, leading to some of the better action sequences of the season so far. That said, and I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but honestly, I did just kind of appreciate the humor of this episode a little more because I'm kind of weird that way. Whatever stance you take about there being an actual main male Cure in this franchise now, personally I just find it mostly just interesting, and am curious what else they can do with this character. I think we can all just appreciate a good hero's arc. Tsubasa, in spite of still not having any natural flying abilities, did show a good amount of determination and quick thinking that really made him the MVP of this fight. His selflessness was quite inspiring, and definitely earning of the title of hero the most, at least in grammatical sense. This is helped by some very effective direction both right before and after his transformation, from the emotional scene of L's tears hitting him, to what had to be some kind of super robot reference. And even though he did get the bulk of attention over this two-parter, the rest of the team did contribute. Obviously Sora especially, with her continuing to show growth by recognizing the heroics of those around her, and even Ageha was an effective mission control in this episode. And Mashiro did help, even though she kind of got the worst brunt of it all. Which on that note, yeah, I was probably laughing a little too much at this episode. Still, intentional or not, this just felt like one of the most cynical episodes so far, which I will admit, I got a sick pleasure out of. I do hope Mashiro doesn't become the punchline of the series, but yeah, I'm saving this clip. And it at least didn't really take away from Tsubasa's debut, and just made the episode more entertaining, at least compared to some of the intended jokes. And yeah, other than that slightly forced banana peel scene, there's nothing really to complain about this one, as overall, it had some great emotions, actions, and more laughs than a birdemic. Ayumu Murase can certainly be proud to be able to add both a Sentai and a Precure to his resume 2 years in a row. Work on the second part of the Friday review is just about done, so we should have it out either Thursday or Friday. We'll try to shoot for the former. From there, we'll probably do a short overview of a certain other series, and then, play it by ear. That's what we usually do anyways. Look forward to it, and until then though, for now my friends, and oh boy, looks like global warming is making them explode again. Good thing I'm well equipped.